Today I finally had some extra time to set up a little round pen in my arena. I have about an hour before the sun goes down, and I think that'll be just enough time to get Studman in there and try and figure out what's going on with him. For anyone new to my channel, I bought Studman from a loose horse sale as a 5-year-old, mostly unhandled stallion. He was pretty neglected and foundered when I bought him, so I've just been working on rehabbing him, and I've recently started in on his training. He has a few things still going on that I didn't show in his rehab video, but I want to make sure I take them into consideration when I start his training. One is this really gnarly old scar he has on his leg. I had it x-rayed last year just to make sure there were no loose fragments, and he did have 2 broken splint bones that have healed. The other thing is he did have a broken tail. Both are healed and causing him no physical pain, but these injuries are something I'm going to keep in mind while I go through his training, because I have no history on this guy, and my first session with him last week led me to believe that he maybe was not treated very fairly by his previous owners. He had a very explosive reaction to my stick and string last session. So today I'm just going to start by desensitizing him a little bit. He is naturally a very curious and outgoing horse. So to foster that creativity and give him a more positive experience today, anytime he wants to investigate me, I am also going to give him a little snack. I don't feed a ton of treats in my regular training, but when I get a horse in that has a lot of previous trauma, or one like Scarlet that has a very low fear threshold, I try my best to make sure that our training is a positive experience, and treats can really help that. In the beginning of our session, I just went and reviewed the cues for him to go each direction in the round pen without a stick or anything. I was just using my arm. He doesn't have any trouble understanding the actual cues. I gave him a treat and let him stand still for a while we worked on ground tying. Our last session, he did get very frantic pretty quickly. So throughout our session today, I'm going to find spots where I can just let him stand and relax. But I'm also going to try and figure out what specifically he has a problem with regarding my stick. I start out by cueing him just with the stick with the string rolled up around it, which he does not have a problem with at all. He's moving very relaxed and going forward and doesn't have any tension through his face like he did last session. I went ahead and I unrolled my string, and he reacted just a little bit, but nothing too crazy. I really like this round pen because in addition to using it like a typical round pen where they go around and around, I can stand along the rail and just cue them to go back and forth. I think this really helps solidify the cue that my stick is really just wanting their shoulders to move over. After a few minutes, this guy really figured it out, to the point where he even was starting to become a little bit bored with what we were doing.
There you go.
In the end, he figured out how to take just one step with each movement of my stick, which was awesome. Since he is being very good, I am going to take him out into the big arena. Since I do have the round pen set up, I do have a little bit of a buffer today. Hopefully that'll keep him from pulling me all over the place if things get a little bit hairy. If he does pull on me like he did right there, I'm just going to pull him around, make him face me, and then turn the other direction. I only had to do that a few times, and he was moving in a pretty decent circle. And after a few minutes, he was listening to my cues very well. I do still have my string wound up around my stick. I wanted to see if I could get him walking and trotting around nicely both directions before I tested what I think he is scared of further. You can see there how I use the round pen to help him figure out that he's not supposed to be pulling on me. Instead of getting softer to my cue, he kind of got bracy and went to pulling on me where the open spaces were. This was very interesting because I didn't change anything that I had been doing with my cues prior to this, but his fear was just kind of going up, and I think he was just scared that I might hit him. So I went back in and I desensitized him with my stick a little bit, but his brain is totally checked out of what we had been doing for the last couple minutes. I was able to redirect him and get him back to being focused and going forward. And once he was back on track, I decided to test my theory of what he's actually the most afraid of. He is very reactive to the sound of the string going through the air and also the motion of me bringing the stick back, like I might hit him real hard with it. I've hit him exactly 0 times with my stick or string at this point, but he is convinced that if I get him to stop and I use my stick on him that he's gonna get whacked, so he eventually just gets away from me. This is obviously not an ideal situation, but he really can't go anywhere inside my arena, so he trots around for a little bit. He doesn't run away from me and he lets me walk right up to him and catch him. I'm hoping that he'll let me just go back and gently move him around the arena at a walk. But it becomes pretty obvious that if I stay in this big space, then his fear is going to escalate again and he's probably going to pull away from me. So I take him back into the round pen. I am at a significant advantage in here. At this point, he's still convinced that I'm going to whack him with my stick and string. As he gets more scared, waiting for me to whack him, he starts to lope around this tiny pen, which is kind of hard to do. This round pen is made of 6 12-foot panels, so it's pretty small. It's really important to me that these horses understand that I'm never going to ask them to do anything that's going to cause them harm or be painful. And if something's not right with them and they act out, I won't immediately go to hitting them with my stick. He has a genuine fear that I am going to harm him, and that is all based on his past interactions with humans. A lot of times people forget, especially when they're dealing with a horse that has some prior trauma, that they do not have the ability to imagine a different future or outcome for events that they have experienced already in the past. So every time I hold my stick in a way that it looks like I might go to hit him, or there's a sound that he remembers from him being whacked in the past, that's just going to add to the level of fear that he's experiencing, and eventually these horses can't contain their fear any longer. This right here is a perfect example of that. Many people would think, oh, this horse is being horrible, he's running off, I need to really get after him so he doesn't do this again. But that will only reinforce the fear that he already has. When these horses don't get reprimanded very aggressively after an outburst like that, I think it really confuses some of them. I've essentially just created a different path for him. So in the future, his brain will be able to imagine 2 different outcomes. His past experience where he gets whacked for everything, and then this new experience that I've created where I'm fair and allow him to express his fear in a way that doesn't get him hurt or in trouble. I'm going to start desensitizing him to the string so he knows I'm not going to hit him with it. I don't want him to get so frantic that he's running around for a couple more hours because the sun is going down. So I'm just going to put my stick and string on him and wait until he stops moving and then just simply take it away. And this really got his little brain moving. I did speed this up to 6 times speed, but look at how much his ears are moving around, kind of processing what just happened to him. I went in again, and as soon as I put my string on him, he stopped and I let him rest again. His entire session today from start to finish was about 40 minutes. He didn't even get sweaty, so he didn't physically work very hard. It's kind of wild that the only thing he's scared of is the motion I make when I lift my stick up like I might hit him with it. But I am feeling more confident that he has the tools to unlearn that cue in his brain. Horses like this do take quite a while to figure out. The majority of horses that I buy at auction that previous owners say are untrainable or crazy, most of the time just have uncontrollable levels of fear surrounding prior training. To get these horses back on the right track is a lot of work. and requires a keen understanding of how horses think and learn and experience the world around them, which a lot of times is at odds with traditional horse training. Studman looks a lot more happy and content than after his session last week. Hopefully I'll be able to build upon what I taught him today, and in a couple sessions he'll approach his training with a more open mind and less fear. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.